Guys, this is a new venture that we are trying out. Some of you might know us, some of you might not. If you don't know us, my name is Trey, and I started the CBSI web page and idea for the comic books and the Unpressable Defects podcast. I helped with the Comic Book Wars podcast as well. And decided to get together with a couple, real life buddies that, people that I count on and call on and talk to in real life to talk about some new things, some new topics, some broader topics, maybe in the collectible world. And I'd like for them to introduce themselves and tell you whatever they're comfortable with.
I guess I'll go next.
Yeah, go next, there, rookie.
I'm Joe. I've no experience with podcasts, and I'm kind of a background guy. I haven't been forefront on anything, honestly. But
no, I'm dragging him into this, much like I do.
Yeah, well, I've been a collector of things for a while, so I don't know what I know, but I know there's a lot I don't. That's why I count on you too. So. Yeah.
Keith. What's up? I'm Keith, and I'm a writer for Comic Book and Best. I was on a podcast earlier, got kicked off. That's cool. I think this new venture will be good. We're all just kind of getting into sports cards right now and seeing what we can do with it. So I think it'll be interesting. We're comic book guys, but we want to do sports cards. So here we go, right?
Right. Only one way to find out. And like I said, we've done sport. At one point in time, my dad owned a baseball card store. So,
True. I used to do sports cards as a kid.
But it's the same thing as comic books, and this is what's fun to sports cards to me right now, because when I picked back up in comic books from 1993 to 2014 or whatever, I jumped back into it. Yeah, the comic book part was the same. But everything else had changed. I mean, the characters in between, the movies were starting up, variants. I mean, there were just so many new variables, and people hadn't quite figured out what was going to be the collectible stuff long term. And we hopped in that comic book market at that really crazy time, right before it caught fire mainstream. And
90s when baseball cards was going crazy.
Right. When King Griffey, I mean, like I said, 89 Upper Deck set because like I said, up until that point, it was Topps and Bowman. Those were, I mean, there was Donruss, Score, but they were all considered about the same par as far as quality until 1989 came around. Upper Deck came out with this high gloss card and this silver tinfoil packaging that had never been done before. It just had this premium feel to it. Like the pictures, just everything just had the colors on it popped. It just was a different quality of card.
Not only a premium feel, it was a premium price. I remember it was like $3 a pack, and I was like, fuck, I can't afford that.
It was $3 a pack, which most you're paying 33 to 35 cents for Don. I mean, like I said, I remember the Targets and Ventures around my house. I mean, you get a box of Donruss for like $8.
Yeah, it was all the other stuff was so cheap.
He's so right, and they came out. I mean, Upper Deck, like the suggested manufacturer retail price was like $1.99. Well, they immediately sold out. So packs went to $2.99. Completely sold out. Craziness was going on. I mean, no one could keep Upper Deck in stock. People were buying boxes.
Well, it was the perfect storm. You had King Griffey Jr. That was a player of the generation. That was once in a decade player,
But if you remember, it got crazier. They released Upper Deck fucking high numbers. You remember the card to get in the high number set? Jerome fucking Walton, Dwight Smith, and then it was the Nolan Ryan throwing the football single print. You remember that?
There was a Nolan Ryan 3D too.
Yeah, I remember the Nolan Ryan 3D. That was a good one.
Yeah. So, but Todd Zeal was the fucking card high number. Do you remember it?
Todd Zeal
was the one at the time that was absolutely going nuts. People were going crazy for it. But it just changed the game. It added a premium layer to it. And
And then premium brands started popping up all over the place. There was Stadium Club that came out.
Yeah, Stadium Club was.
Yeah,
Because remember the Frank Thomas card was super high.
Well, Frank Thomas and Leaf.
Yes.
That surpassed Griffey for a while.
Yep. It did. The 90 Frank Thomas with him stretching on the first base is an iconic card. Card.
Yeah.
What's crazy is if you remember his 89 tops when he's in his Auburn uniform, I think those are very underrated as far as looks. Are those shitty tops cards that have those cool? Like the Derek Jeter cards. I mean, they're in their high school uniforms on a major league tops card back in those days.
Yeah.
And nothing was ever cooler to me than the way that Topps did the Olympic team cards. I remember, obviously, I was too young in '84, but I remember in '88 they didn't do them in packs. You had to buy the Topps traded set.
Oh, with the Mark McGwire?
Yeah. No, that was the 84 one. 88 one was like, I want to say, shit, I'm trying to remember who someone was on that team, but I just remember that having those Olympic cards, that was the coolest thing. I mean, remember the sets? I mean, that was the whole deal, is you're trying to make a set. And now you just got guys like me that's got just hundreds of boxes of sets that ain't worth the fucking box they're in. Like, literally, if I took them out and caught them on fire, the box is worth more than the sets.
But I was talking to you earlier today about some '90s cards that were spiking, and we were talking about Mariano Rivera. Well, a lot of that has to do with being first unanimous Hall of Famer, first ballot guy,
which is bullshit. The fact that Griffey wasn't just blows my mind.
Well, all you do is offend one writer. You know what I mean?
Yep. No, you're exactly right.
And Derek Jeter. But I was thinking about that further. There's something to be said for sticking with the team for a whole career. That you don't see that anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think when you do that as a Yankee, it's kind of like you're part of a fraternity now. I mean, they're like beloved. You know what I mean? So if you look at the '90s cards, there's a handful that I think are worth still going after, even though they're so mass produced. Is Jeter and Mariano. That Mariano 92, was it Bowman? Is $100 raw now, if you can find them.
Is that the one in the street clothes? Which one is that?
Yeah, no, it looks like.
Oh, that's the one that's the wait, that's a 91 set, right?
92, I think.
Is that the Chipper Jones rookie year where he's in he's in
the same year?
Oh my God! Hey, that was the year that Bowman took the lead on everything. If you remember right, because I remember I was in 10th grade, and I remember that everyone was on the Andrew Jones train. Because remember, he made his debut.
Well, with good reason.
With good reason. You hit 5 home runs in a World Series at 18-year-old. But I remember stacking up on the Vlad Guerreros. Because that was the hotter card at the time. Because people were all over his dad the same way they are Vlad, honest to God. But they had the Chipper Jones.
I think Scott Rowland was in that group too.
Yes. That was one of those magical sets that has like 15 fucking Hall of Famers in it. And guess what, guys? We cuss a little bit. Unfortunately, every once in a while, there's libations, and I let some F-bombs slip out. If it offends you, I understand. Occasionally, I make grown men change their clothing like I'm their dad. I know, it sounds crazy, but if I mention something, that grown man will wear another man's number. So be careful. We don't want people doing that. We respect you as adults. We know that you can dress yourselves, that you are not little mindless sheep that just going to go off the cliff. That's why we're here.
Take a turn.
That's why we're here. Like you could say lemming. A lot of people use the lemmings, but it's an imaginary creature, so I wasn't going to use it because, it's an imaginary creature. Where were we at?
I don't know.
Where the fuck were we at? I'm looking at. I mean, Keith's biceps are just glistening, just like.
What do you do, Keith?
What?
What do you do for a living?
Oh shit! Now we're going fucking on. We're just going deep.
Whoa! I do a mortgage analyst.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I'm behind a computer all day.
Actually, how did I not know that? I thought you did something in the park services.
No, dude.
I need you to analyze my mortgage and let me know if I'm getting screwed over. No, I actually think I got it. Anyway. So back since we got into this card stuff, I what got me back into it and got a lot of us back into it was Luka Doncic. The early part of the basketball season this year, it was the Shohei Ohtani at the end of last year piqued my interest because the prices and the way people were going crazy for the Ohtani card at the end, it was just you had to take notice. I mean, he
reminded me a lot of Ichiro. Remember when Ichiro came out?
I mean, there was national media picking up the value of his sports cards being sold. So I took a little notice in that, and at that time, that the card market, was on the upswing. And obviously, I wasn't paying close attention. I was entrenched in the comics. And then when Doncic started playing really, really well the first, 15 games, I started looking into it and seeing what products were out there. And, I learned more that, Panini's only name, and then that Panini Prism, and a lot of people's mind was very similar to Base Bowman. And that's a lot of people, early in the season, that was the measure stick of the rookie cards until National Treasures and some of the other ones came out. That was the baseline, what I understood. And like I said, the cool thing about Prism is there is endless varieties of autographs in there. You got on cards, you got stickers. I mean, there's multiple different kinds of ways to get autographs on this sets, and some of them obviously more value. And then there's variants on top of that, and then there's Walmart and Target variants. And what's crazy is every week they kept going up. Like we didn't know enough about it to really understand, but we knew that the rise in price was almost unhealthy. Then it got weirder, because other people in the draft class, their prices started skyrocketing too. From fucking, help me out, Keith, here.
Trae Young?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, Trae Young.
Obviously, yeah.
Who's the kid from Memphis I was so hyped up on?
Oh, yeah.
Hold on here.
The fucking,
This is not a good part of podcasting when you're too dumb to even talk about what you're specking on. Like Trae Young. Jesus. This is why we gotta learn to edit, boys. You would love to see that my organization on my
Oh, man. What do you have it in a shoebox?
Oh, no. It's even worse than that.
Oh, that is a beautiful card, dude.
I got some. Like I said,
we saw that.
Well, guys, one of these days we're going to find out what the secret spec I'm talking about is, because I don't even know what it is. Jesus. Glad we're not fucking.
Glad we're not live, dude.
Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yeah, JJJ, yeah.
Jesus. But, and then he started popping up. He had that huge game where he lit LeBron up at Staples. His cards started going up. Kevin Knox. Who's the other one Alonzo Trier was very hot at the beginning of the season, an undrafted player that the Knicks that started and did really, really well. I mean, there were just so many different layers to the basketball season this year, and the card just kept doing well. And people thought that the Prism cards were going to start slowing down. Nope. Trae Young's cards at the very last part of the season almost surpassed Doncic in a lot of stuff. But on the higher end stuff, Doncic's still selling about 40% higher. It's craziness. And what it did is I hope that getting in this year on the Doncic stuff prepare us a little bit better for next year's early basketball season, because we didn't understand some of the nuances and some of the tricks on buying the high-end Panini stuff, the first off the lines, the significance of the first off the line, how people talk about how the odds and some of the better cards are usually pulled in the first off the line. So we didn't know all that. We didn't, we were still kind of from we'll buy a $25 box, open up the packs, you get what you get. It's a little bit different now. I mean, you can buy singles. A lot more prevalent. I mean, like I said, it's very similar, and we talked about it. I mean, I talked about it on my Instagram, but here's a perfect example. Is I really wanted this card, which is a signed on-card Sophie Turner Game of Thrones card. I think she's absolutely the most cutest thing on the planet. So this card was $200. A brand new box of cards was $180. If you would have told me that I would have got this card for the 180, I'd have been fucking happy because this is the card I wanted. So like I said, I hedged my bet. I spent an extra $10 plus whatever shipping was to get the card I wanted. There's a lot of scenarios like that. Getting a rookie card is not the same as it was. Like usually you could buy a box and you'd get a common rookie card. You'd get, a Greg Jeffries or someone, similar in that era. You know what I'm talking about? You'd get one. Nowadays, to get a good rookie card, you have to hit the fucking mother load. You have to hit a 1 in 100.
Oh, but how good does it feel when you do that, though?
I've never done it.
You've never hit something big like that?
It's pretty rare.
No, I hit a Francisco Lind back when I was doing the. I did get back into cards in 2013 and 14. I did a ton of the group breaks through Blowout. And that's actually how I found comics, believe it or not. Is I was doing the group breaks through Blowout while I was working on the oil rigs to kind of keep me up at night because they always went late. And then I remember one night, super late, they had that comic tab about comic news. And they were talking about Deadpool and some of the things I still knew about. And then I remembered that was when Walking Dead was on. Everyone was watching Walking Dead. And the hot comic at the time was the first appearance of Ezekiel, which I want to say was Walking Dead 97. So I said, you know what? I'm going to buy one. I'll buy one for my son, which I really was at the time. And then that comic turned into a couple more comics. And then it turned into literally a lifestyle. And then, and then honestly, a part of my life and a part of my financial business. I mean, it took up a majority of my life, and it's just crazy. Like I said, and I'm back in this rabbit hole of sports cards, and I'm having a blast right now. I mean, because there's so many cool stuff. Like I said, I mean, I think Game of Thrones is going to be one of those series that it's going to be ageless. I think in 50 years from now, people are still going to be talking and watching this. I know it might be crazy, but I really feel that way, and I feel that she was one of the iconic characters in there. She's obviously drop dead gorgeous, etc. But I like having that kind of stuff. I mean, here's another example. No one has any fucking idea who this person is other than me. But this is one of my favorite cards. It's John Smith. Some of you guys might or might not know him. He is the most decorated United States wrestler of all time. Oklahoma State's head wrestling coach, 2-time gold medal Olympist. I mean, just 4-time collegiate national champion, etc. But I was just randomly going, and I was like, yeah, I bet they don't even have one. Nope, sure enough, company named Sage made an insert on Card Auto. I got this for fucking $5. I would have paid $500, and I kid you not. I would have paid $500 to get this. Some guy had no idea or didn't mean anything to him. $5. And like I said, I have that, and this is the one that makes me smile the most out of any card I've gotten forever. There are tons of badass cards like that. I talked about it on the Comic Book Wars podcast one time. Like my grail when it comes to autograph is a dark Steve Irwin Crocodile Hunter. I can't explain to you how bad I want that card because it was really weird. Like we found when I was 15, my family were on a vacation in Vancouver. We went to go watch King Griffey Jr. play. Got to watch Alex Rodriguez first at bat, whole 9 yards. And my parents made me shoot up to Vancouver to do like the old people part. We got trapped in this shitty hotel room and I remember they had the very first Crocodile Hunter episode on, and we were watching it, and I just remember how hard we laughed as a family. It's like, this guy's the craziest thing. And we tried to tell people about it, but no one would believe us. And there wasn't the internet back then. There wasn't like you could show them a clip. And it was on in Canada apparently 2 years before it came to the United States. So then 2 years later, it came on TV, and everyone was like, oh, my God. It was one of those deals that we always watched as a family. Just could not believe.
Dude, I remember the day he died. That I was heartbroken.
Yep.
I loved that dude.
Did you hear what his wife? Did you hear what Terry said?
No. Maybe I might have.
She had that. She was like, they're like, well, have you ever, are you dating anything like that? She's like, no, I've had my happily ever after already. It was just fucking.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they were just perfect together.
They're kids. They have a little boy. He's just like his dad.
And what Bindi was on Dancing with the Stars, the daughter, and yeah, she's quite successful, I believe, as a wildlife photographer.
Yeah. I remember that day. That was a sad day. But
having a authentic card signed by him, I really want one because I think he was a fucking cool dude, and I think he's one of those timeless people. To tie that back into collecting and speculation, I honestly don't see those clips of him like being on live TV doing an interview, getting bitten by those snakes and not panicking. I don't think that stuff's ever going to go away. I think he will live on in internet clips forever because the stuff he did, I don't think will ever be replicated in the wildlife world. I mean, the crazy jumping on 22-foot fucking saltwater crocs with just ropes and his dad and shit. No, I've never seen anything like it to this day. So I don't think that Steve Irwin will ever disappear. So I love him like that. But as far as collectability, I don't think a card like that will ever lose a cent in value. Because what's he going to do to piss people off? He can't do anything to piss anyone off. The only thing he's going to do is a new generation of people are going to find him, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He's one of those type of people, in my opinion.
Well, one of the things that kind of irks me sometimes, Trey and Keith, is when people ask what they should buy. You ever hear these questions?
Oh yeah, like
I got $100. What should I buy?
You know, worse than that, the people that put out a fucking list of what to buy. Like, you're not an adult. No, I'm being dead serious. It's tongue in cheek. But you guys are grown ass men that I respect, and I respect your opinions. Buy what the fuck you want to. If you need a list of what to buy, you're already fucked up.
That's my point, because this guy you bought for $5, or even Steve Irwin, if that card dropped to be valueless, you would still buy it because it means something to you. Absolutely. You know what I mean? That's the best part about collecting, is finding things that you enjoy, that you like, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, we were talking about...
I don't do it to make money. If you're doing it to make money, you're probably a bad financial...
I think there's something to be said about holding value, though. You know, you don't want to just buy something that's not going to be worthless 5-10 years from now too, though.
That's you know what? I always talk shit about Stan Lee, and I told, and this may sound hypocritical to some of the stuff I said, but I was made aware from our friends on the Mayway channel that there is a Stan Lee Skybox autograph card. I like the autograph card a lot better than an autograph comic book. I talked about this on the Unpressable Defix. I think an autograph comic book is basically a bad. I think it should be a knock. I think you're damaging a comic book. I honestly do. I don't see how you can say that putting a Sharpie that bleeds through the cover to put a signature isn't damaging the book. And I think a lot of them fucking ruin the covers. I think they look shitty. I don't care who signed it, what they doodled or whatever. I think it like you look at a Hulk 181. And that beauty, especially if it's a good cover, you see that beautiful bright red, that little bit of white, that tinged yellow, and then you just see a bunch of like silver magic marker on it. It looks like shit. It honestly does, in my opinion. But in a perfect example, if you make a card for a signature, which most of them do, it looks good because you're supposed to put a signature there. So I've switched on that, and I really am going to try to buy one of those Stan Lee Skybox cards because it's authenticated. It's a little bit different. It's outside the box because, like I said, how many thousands, hundreds of thousands of people have an autographed Stan Lee comic book? A lot. How many people have an autographed Stan Lee card?
Oh, you don't know how many of them are out there, right?
I haven't dug down that rabbit hole to see how many it were, to be honest, but. There's just super cool stuff like the Frank Franzetta card. That's the one that kind of started it off. Doc Joe, and I went to this fucking hepatitis shed, and we're digging through.
So cold.
Dude, we're digging through these books, and this guy in his house had this Frank Franzetta card. Let me see if I can find it. I know this is like I'm that asshole's like, oh yeah, I just happen to have all this, but this Franzetta card.
That's self-portrait, right?
Yes, it's a self-portrait, but I also found out later this is one of the only times he uses certain signature. And a lot of people like this.
He has that artistic little thing that he draws out, with the.
But on the back it says, this is a 1962 work in oil, Frank's only painted self-portrait. He did complete a sketch self-portrait and a self-caricature. And then it just talks about, you found a rare autograph card. This card certifies that the authentic signature of Frank Franzetta, et cetera, et cetera. But it's just different. Like I said, I mean, even having an autograph for Zeta comic book is badass. And I would love to have one. I mean, I'm a hypocrite in that regard. I'm not an advocate of it, but having something signed by Frazetta on the cover, there's a few exceptions. This is a badass. This is a cool piece of memorabilia, whoever you are. In the card world or the comic book world, most people know who this guy is. So there's just really cool shit out there when it comes to cards. And baseball cards are so much fun right now. I mean, with the Wander Franco stuff going on, he had an unbelievably positive article on him on ESPN, I believe it was last week. And he's the #1 rated rookie in Baseball America, I believe.
Prospect.
He's going to be. I don't think he is yet.
They haven't done their list yet.
No, they haven't updated it yet.
I get if there was a draft today, he'd go #1, I think.
But I mean, you got the Vlad Jr. being called up. I mean, the card market's really crazy right now.
Yeah, this year's rookies are pretty insane.
Oh, and I mean, the thing about it is there'll be 5 guys that are so under the radar that aren't being, bought and traded every day on eBay that will catch lightning in a bottle. And a couple of them will be long-term, really awesome players that people make money on. Yeah. I made Doc Joe go eat pizza today, and we were talking about like how much money you can lose in sports cards by buying packs and playing that game. But at the same token, if you're smart enough, could you imagine if you were buying Steph Curry National Treasures that second year when he hurt his ankles and everyone thought his career was over and he'd never play again? Or whatever his equivalent rookie was. He may not even have a National Treasure. I think it may have been an Upper Deck, that SP.
No, he has National Treasures. He has RPAs.
He does. But could you imagine if you were that person who was like, you know what, I like Steph, or you probably were Davidson students that were like, oh, I still love Steph. I want to buy some of these rookie cards. Look at what the price. I mean, you could literally, for a high grade, you could trade that in for a house in some places. Think about that. No
doubt. It might be a good time to jump on Kevin Durant if you haven't yet.
Yeah.
Out there, people are unloading some of his stuff. Same thing with Clay.
Absolutely.
I mean, Clay's coming back, but a lot of question marks.
But there was one rookie last year who never played, and I think people need to think heavily on investing in him. But it's a hit or miss because you're getting in on him at an inflated price, even though he didn't play. But it's Michael Porter Jr.
I heard about that too.
2 years ago, he was Zion before he hurt his back, before he got to Missouri. And everyone's like, well, why do you go to Missouri instead of Kentucky? They gave his dad an assistant coaching job out of nowhere. It was a big coup d'etat, et cetera, et cetera. So
backs are tricky though,
Right. Sorry. Of course I get an important text from my son's mom right now.
I never heard of this Michael Porter kid.
But no, he was the number 1 recruit. Sorry, he was the #1 rated recruit coming out of high school. I mean, I think he's 6'11", left-handed, smooth as butter. But he had a history of a back injury.
Played like 2 or 3 games maybe, and then he sat out almost the whole season.
Yep.
And then he came back and played 1 tournament game.
Yep. And then he ended up having another surgery on it. He went to like I said, it was crazy.
Yeah.
He went to Denver. Denver did what they did last year, and they didn't even have him.
Yeah,
but his National Treasures and stuff are still inflated because people aren't dumb on him.
No, they're not out there dumping him.
Right, but he's not on the pars, the Jaren Jacksons, and some of the other people that we're talking about.
We don't know that though.
Right.
Well, those National Treasures RPAs are over $2,000. If you
yes,
want one.
that's what I'm saying is, but you got to get in on. If you get in on $2,000,
it's such a gamble though. $2,000. Once he blows his back out, you never see him again.
You're absolutely right. But at the same token, is what we're talking about. If he turns into a Steph Curry or I'm trying to think of someone who's like a slow burn, Kawhi Leonard. He was a no name out of Paul George, another perfect example.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could even say that about Westbrook. He was not. We're not going to get into Westbrook. I already had enough argument about Westbrook today with Joe at lunch. But there's just a lot of those guys at that third or fourth. James Harden, he sat on the bench in Oklahoma City. No wonder how many people fucking unloaded his shit thinking he was a dud that he couldn't even start Oklahoma City. Now look what his fucking cards are.
Oh,
if you have disposable income and you're just like stocks. If you have the money to invest in some of those cards, you have the chance to hit it very, very well. To make multiple thousands of dollars.
Or it could turn out to be Keith Van Horn.
Keith wasn't bad. He had a decent career.
Oh, come on, man. He came out. He was supposed to be the man. Who was the other guy from Gonzaga? Remember that guy?
Adam Morrison.
Yeah,
Adam Morrison.
He lit Oklahoma State the fuck up that year.
He was a blue chip can't miss guy.
Yeah, he had that fucking. He looked like Prefontaine from the movie Prefontaine.
Porn stash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But God.
Yeah, it's really hit or miss sometimes because you never know who's going to get hurt. That's happening, right?
That is exactly half of it. And you got guys that can come back from basketball. Yeah. Football, we don't know enough about. I'm relevant, and all three of us know what the fuck's going on in football. We can tell you who drafted who, et cetera, et cetera. But football cards outside of Saquon Barkley, Baker Mayfield, Julio Jones. There's not.
It's all quarterbacks, man.
It's all quarterbacks. And what's crazy is like this year, there's like Bryce Harper, he changed teams. Those cards are selling really well. In football, if it's not a rookie or an incredibly rare variant or parallel, they're not moving. People aren't buying the second-year cards of Saquon Barkley. Just not happening for whatever reason. Baseball and basketball, people buy them. Not so much when it comes to football.
Wow.
And how many how many rookies actually hit in football? If you look at it, half of the guys are on defense. No one gives a shit about defense. You don't want the inside linebacker for the Jaguars.
You want a wide receiver, running backs, and quarterbacks.
So that narrows it down to that first round. Now you narrowed it down from 15 down to about 7 or 8. And then the chances of that happening, like I said, you got maybe one quarterback, maybe one running back. The odds are shitty in football to hit anything.
The thing is, though, everybody in America loves football. So in all the sports card shops, it's all football all the time, man. People love football.
See, I was at that one.
The cost of some of these Tom Brady cards lately, his rookies.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
$100,000.
gosh.
$100,000 or more.
Or $1 million, man. The contenders.
That will sell too. I have zero doubt that card in 10 years, we're all going to go, God dang, why didn't we pool our money and buy that? Dead serious.
Seriously.
Explain to me how Tom Brady's value is going to go down. They've already tried to call him the cheater with the deflate gate. That didn't fucking work, obviously. He just decided to say, fuck you, I'm going to win 2 more. He did. If anyone, honestly, I don't understand. He seems like a really good guy. He's never in trouble. A lot of people think he's a robot and this and that. But
a beautiful wife.
Yeah. Name one. Has he ever gotten in trouble for anything?
Not off the field.
Right. Other than the Deflategate bullshit, which I think was a fucking hack job by the NFL. So how is his card going to go down? His lore and mystique in Boston will do nothing but grow.
Yeah, that dude is solid.
Good investments.
They're rare. It's pretty rare, though, That's what everybody's chasing. They're chasing him, Mike Trout, Michael Jordan, those kind of players.
Oh, man. You want to talk about mistakes on some Mike Trouts, guys. I remember that back when we were doing those breaks, I wanted a Mike Trout really bad. I had a blue 9.5 refractor in my cart for like $155 and fell asleep and didn't buy it, and someone bought it from out under me. I still have the screenshot somewhere, and it haunts me today. I think it's like $9,000 right now.
I sold my only Mike Trout autograph rookie last year to somebody.
God, I wish you would have told me how to bought it.
I did tell you, but it was Don Russ Elite, and you
Oh yeah, no,
anti Don Russ, man.
No one wants Don Russ. No one wants Don Russ. And the weird thing about it is people crave Panini basketball, but any other Panini cards, people literally shit on them. It's the funniest thing ever. It's like NBA cards, we're like held to ransom because they have the one license outside of Topps that everybody wants.
That's exactly it.
But all their other stuff is complete shit that no one cares about.
Well, because baseball, they can't show the logos, so they just airbrush all this shit out. Nobody wants that shit.
I am surprised that the college national treasures football is not more popular because those college cards, like the Baker Mayfields, and I mean even some of those ones from like the Leaf sets that had the from the Under Armour game that had all the high school players that are now badass in college.
Yeah.
I'm surprised those aren't worth more than they are.
I don't know if people collect college cards, you know?
Well, it's the same thing. Baseball has some USA cards. If you go in 2015, Vladdy Jr. has a few, and they're relatively cheap.
The perfect game cards, right?
Yeah, they're relatively cheap compared to his Bowman Chrome stuff. But that's a year earlier, you'd think, but.
And that's something, Keith, I was hoping that you would talk about. I purposely have stayed a little bit dumb on the subject, but can you explain how the trend in rookie cards has changed from not necessarily the draft pick cards to the first in uniform rookie cards, and how that has affected the hobby from what you've seen?
I don't think they're more valuable. I think that first
Okay, not necessarily valuable, but how they've caught on in the market and have found themselves a quite valuable niche that people are collecting. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I think that people are jumping on this rookie card bandwagon because obviously the first prospect cards are getting so expensive, and it's just getting out of hand. So people are starting to realize that rookie cards have value too. I think it's definitely started with that Trout update. That's the one that blew up. So everybody wanted to get into the Topps update rookie cards. And then that kind of led into Topps Chrome. And obviously I'm talking baseball here because I don't think any of the other sports really have prospecting cards, right?
Hockey does. A lot of times, I think Upper Deck and some of the other ones, they get those world championships, right?
Mm-hmm.
And things like that. So you'll have some prospects, some national team stuff come through on those, I believe.
Yeah, I really believe it started with this Trout, how the Trout Topps update blew up. And it's
so, and back in our time, a lot of the Topps traded stuff were kind of, other than, I mean, I talked about how cool the Olympic stuff was, but after a certain deal, the Topps traded didn't have the same luster. People weren't excited about it.
The cards are cheap, the cardboard is thin, and the packs are really cheap, and they mass produce, right? So you could get, even from last year, the update Ronald Acuna. Everybody has like 50 of them, so they're not rare. So you need to really hit on a parallel probably or signed,
It's very similar, in my opinion, to the way that people used to look down their nose at second print comic books. And now I can name off 15 second, third print comic books that are worth more than the first print. And people are actively, looking out for it. It's the same thing like you said about that Topps traded Trout. That's kind of the hallmark. I mean, that's a top 10 card. And you look at Beckett's and a lot of their deals. I mean, that there's more copies. There's more of the Topps traded sold than the Bowman draft in a lot of circles. So, and they found out that it's a hard card to find. They didn't produce many of that year of whatever that Topps traded was. So, same things like those Spider-Man variants from like 667. The reason those Del Autos, it was a 1 in 50, but by right now standards is there's quite a few of them. But back in 2009, when comic books were at their lowest peak, they weren't making that many Spider-Man. So, 1 in 50. There wasn't that many of them out there. And now people have figured that out and realized how fucking rare and valuable that comic book is. Very, very similar with cards. I don't know all the ins and outs yet. Like I said, I mean, I went down the jambalaya basketball variants on
Jordan?
Michael Jordans and some of that stuff. Oh, dude, that's like the very first, and I didn't even realize that's the very first variant set, basically in high end basketball. And there was a Michael Jordan variant, and I think there was a Shaq.
There was a handful, and then there was the big men on court. There was a bunch from back then that are just worth asking. Well, Michael Jordan,
but people weren't collecting them because, like I said, they thought they were like manager cards. A lot of people didn't even realize that they were short printed, et cetera, et cetera. And now they're worth a shit ton of money.
Oh yeah, and even some of the Michael Jordan stuff from back then that was so mass produced. If you can get them in high grade, if you get PSA 10s, you ever grade stuff, Trey?
I have a bunch that I plan on grading, but I've never graded any sports cards myself.
How about you, Keith?
Not yet. I'm looking into doing like group. It'll be way cheaper if you go through a group and try to do it yourself.
Well, I know if you can do like a mass amount, they'll do them for like $6 a pop.
Yeah, but it's I
Maybe
think
like 100 submissions or something.
You'd have to grade so many fucking cards.
See, what sucks about cards is I remember how steep, and I was pretty deep in the comic world, grading, pressing. I mean, I did it all, but it took me so long to figure out how to grade a comic book properly, to know what a 9.8 was and what had a chance at being a 9.8 and what didn't. And I have a bad feeling that the sports card curve is way harder. Think a little piece.
I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong.
Yeah, you got four main things, right? You got surface, edges, centering, and corners.
Yep. It's way easier. They can grade a card in like a minute or two, dude. Seriously. Comic books are way harder to grade.
I did find out, speaking of something else, have you guys seen the Aaron Judge purple refractor Bowman rookie counterfeits that are on eBay? Oh. And how good they are. Dude, they're scary. Look good.
Straight from China?
I didn't look at what it was, but apparently that the fakes on sports cards are even worse than I thought as far as counterfeits and reproductions.
Never buy a Jordan rookie raw. There's so many.
Dude, you know what's crazy? Back when my dad had a store, the literal hundreds of those 86 Fleer Jordans that I could have bought for $25 a piece. Like hundreds. And never bought one. Just always, that was that one card you always like, yeah, I'll get one eventually. I'll get one eventually. And never did it.
Yeah.
And now I
never bought one of those.
Actually, I have Tim Walker, our old friend from CBSI. He was into counterfeit cards before he was into comics, and he sent.
Wow.
That's your story. He'll tell you about it. He'll send you cards. He sent me a little starter kit that had all the Star Jordans, the Fleers, Mike Schmidt rookies. I mean, it was crazy, and the quality on them was nuts. Like even the ones that were supposed to have gloss from like the Topps traded had Tiffany gloss. So I mean, the fakes on sports cards are pretty incredible. That's why buying anything raw is sketchy and dicey. Buy from a reputable dealer. If that some bitch got like, I noticed that if they have like a name and an underscore and like a number of like 1 through 4 and a feedback of 2, don't buy anything high end from them.
Or it's straight from shipping from China.
Hell yeah. And that's not racist against China.
No, that's not true.
You guys got a lot of bootleggers and you like to counterfeit shit. So you're good at it. That's why we buy it. But
I bought a ton of cards from Asia because there's a ton of collectors out of Asia.
Oh God, they're so into high end. That's where if you look at like the high end or the location of the high end sellers of the crazy basketball cards, Japan.
That's where I was buying most of my cards from. They're all coming from overseas.
Really, I haven't got
basketball during basketball season.
I always get my shit from like Illinois, and you're like, huh?
Now it's all the zero feedback people. Gotta watch out.
So, tell us a little. What's going on in the comic book world, guys? What is hot right now? What's moving the needle? Because I honestly have no fucking idea.
I don't know, man. I think it's like hot for a minute kind of shit.
Yeah, everything is so. It's the fear of missing out, and people are paying outrageous numbers for books that don't deserve that kind of money. But if you're selling them, man, more power to you. But like this Immortal Hulk, Naomi, what other
I
stuff?
think I like Naomi a lot more than I like Niobe right now, but
You like Naomi at $100 raw?
I bought a bunch early. Like that was one of the ones where I read about it and it completely made sense because Bendis is literally going to liberal that fucking character into the limelight. He already has done it. I mean,
The thing is, if you bought it at $100 raw, you could get $100 9.8 now.
$100 9.8. Wait, what?
Yep.
For Naomi.
Is that what she's going for now in 9.8?
Yeah.
I saw it. Saw it yesterday.
So the raw is going for the same price as the graded?
No.
No, if you bought it for that, you're.
That's what I'm saying. If you bought it at $100 raw, you're just screwed now.
Oh, I gotcha.
I think that book went way too high, way too fast.
Oh, did I also was reading the previews. It looks like John Kent's going to be join the Legion of Superheroes in the future.
Huh.
I don't know.
It was random, but yeah, no, they said that there's a deal in September that's going to rock Superman's foundation. And one of the hints was the Legion of Superheroes come back, but to recruit a current member, and it will rock Superman's life forever. There's like a half-ass sketch from the cover, and it shows John Kent like talking to the Legion of Superheroes. So I mean, it's pretty obvious, unless that's either a red herring. But
I was talking to you earlier today about
dude, that
about Keanu Reeves to be Warlock.
Dude, that wasn't me. Who was? It might have been a scroll.
Is that true? Is that true or is that made up?
Multiple sources are saying it, but
Who are the sources? Though? I mean, is it fucking
just websites, not people websites? I can't tell you.
I mean, is it like Jimmy Linguini's source? Because
well, Jimmy's pretty legit.
I know if Jimmy said that something was going to happen in a movie, he probably like was there and harassed the guy for an autograph and got it. So speaking of that, guys, Jimmy will probably be on next week because his other podcast will get canceled because let's be honest.
Come on, man.
He'll be on hopefully next week to talk about comics and just do like weird Jimmy shit. So
I like Jimmy.
Are you being serious?
No, I'm not being serious. I told him when he comes back on, he has to crawl back on his knees and tell us. And
that didn't happen.
No.
Hey, I wanted to get your opinion on Rick and Morty. What do you think about that Rick and Morty 50? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I saw that, and I think you totally misinterpreted. I think Joe set you up on a troll there because I absolutely loathe Rick and Morty spec.
I thought you said
Rick, you know what? Rick and Morty spec, Mike Allstott jerseys. Same shit. Honest to God, it makes 0 sense. That's a stupid. I watched the show. It's not funny. It was like, you got to be super smart to understand it. No, you don't. It's dumb. It's literally a bunch of fucking guys my age on LSD, fucking drawing and writing comic books about like weird grandpas and all kinds of shit. Not cool.
Hey, there's a pickle.
Yeah, that's even stupider. Sorry, stupider is not a word. That's but.
Hey man, people buy it though.
Yeah, that's
People bought Beanie Babies too, guys.
That set has like gone to almost $1,000, dude. I couldn't believe it.
Are you talking about that 50 set?
Yeah. Unbelievable.
I've been told there's a lot of them out there.
Is there?
Been told there's a lot of them out there.
I haven't bought anything new in forever, comic book wise.
I bought a 655 variant raw that was way too cheap, like 2 Sundays ago. I got a little alert set for that.
Oh, Damien?
Yeah, you're not getting any of those by me cheap. I think that I just the way they've invested in him on all fronts. I like where his character is going. He's an asshole. I like him.
You know what? I like Dr. Aphra, man. I think that book's gone way cheap.
Is that the Vader one?
Darth Vader #3, the variant. It's $50, dude.
The La Roca?
Yeah.
You know what's crazy is I don't want to talk about Star Wars rumors because someone's going to talk about rumors from the next movie, and I've done everything to stay the fuck away from any type of spoiler. So I don't even know if I want to go down this path. Is there rumors about her being in the new movie or something?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But I think her character's big enough where they could do totally something with her. And it's Star Wars, man.
Yeah, but Star Wars fandom has been on the decline. They said, granted, I mean, the Star Wars world at Disney broke records. I'm not a complete idiot, but they said that the box office and a lot of the action figure Hasbro numbers have been on the steady decline, as opposed to the other two sets where there was a slight incline all the way till like a midway through the third one, and it started to fall pretty heavily. And they're starting. I mean, people aren't buying action figures anymore. They're not excited about any of these characters.
Wait till Disney streaming comes though, and they see fucking Mandalorians.
Very possible. No, that's very possible. But it's just like, other than Rey, no one wants to be the guy whoever fucking Apocalypse is. What's his character's name?
Apocalypse.
Guy who played Apocalypse, the shitty Apocalypse.
I don't remember.
He's the guy. They're trying to make him in the Han Solo.
What?
Oscar Isaac?
No, that's Poe Dameron.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What's his name? Poe Dameron's his name.
Yeah.
They're trying to make him in the Han Solo, but let's be honest, that ain't fucking Han Solo, and no kids want to be Poe Dameron.
Who's that blue-faced dude?
The rapper?
Blueface, dude.
He had his own. He got his own title not too long ago. Comic book title.
Oh, Thrawn.
Grand Admiral Thrawn. No, he's the fucking baddest person in the Star Wars universe. If you read any of those novels, Grand Admiral Thrawn is the baddest dude without force-sensitive powers in that universe, bar none. Vader.
We'll see him.
I hope so. I hope they.
I would almost
do that.
Guarantee.
Oh, if they do that and they bring, that opens up so many rabbit holes though, because that opens up so many continuity doors, that Dark Horse stuff, and I don't know if Marvel wants to do that. So I could be interested to see. But I guess they did that. You know what? They did the Grand Admiral Thrawn miniseries, and it was under the Marvel banner, so they obviously got all their shit back there to do that. So
I'm sure he's in play.
I won't be mad about that at all. And then that brings in Dash Rendar, which is a really badass Han Solo type replacement. Star Wars is in good hands with Disney. They need to hit a home run with this last movie, because that last one was a turd.
I don't know. I think with the streaming service coming up, I think they'll be okay.
Oh, I mean, I'm not worried. I mean, Marvel's printing United States money right now, literally. I mean, they're making more money than any other corporation outside of like Apple, Microsoft, and Alphabet, Google, they call it now.
Amazon.
Right? I mean, it's just how much money can you make? But like I said, I mean, my son brought it up. He was talking about like the Avengers are my son's generation Star Wars. The way that we always had that Star Wars, that's what he said. He goes, in 10 years, they brought Robert Downey Jr. back for like an old Avengers. He's like, people would lose their shit in 10 to 15 years. I'm like, golly, I never thought about it like that. But in our chance, like Star Wars, I think it peaked and it's been on a slow decline since. I mean, yeah, we've gotten some cool content and things I never thought would happen. But if anyone, I mean, what was that last one? The Rise of Clone. What was it called? I don't remember the name of it. But I mean, I wish they'd have killed Luke Skywalker in New Hope now after watching it.
Empire Strikes Back, best Star Wars movie ever, in my opinion.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, I think a lot of people think that's a consensus too.
It is. I think they just need to get away from all the old people and start anew.
You're on that train of getting away from the deal. But are you excited about Adventures for Poe Dameron? And what's the old stormtrooper's name?
Oh, yeah.
Black guy. What's his name in the movie? Finn. Is it Finn? We suck at this, guys. I'm really going to type black guy in Star Wars, and it's going to be Lando.
Lando Calrissian.
And then I got a 50-50 shot of hopefully. By the way, I think Mel would even laugh at this. So, John Boyega is his real life name, and he played
Finn.
Finn. I said Finn.
Yeah, Finn.
I mean, I don't see a lot of kids dressing up as Thanos Halloween.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Those characters, okay, you're right.
but they don't have.
I
They're
think
not Skywalker and Han Solo, right? Is that fair?
I don't think so. Besides Ray, probably not.
So, like I said, kids aren't buying action figures. They're not buying lunch boxes. They got to find some characters that people are going to latch onto, like Iron Man, like Black Panther. That's the beauty of the Avengers, is they had built-in marketing and material from all the comic book shit. It's not like, I mean, the second the movies are out, you could go on eBay and bought 400 different kinds of Avengers shirts with every combination of Avengers you could ever want. Marvel was, I mean, they didn't even realize it, but they were brilliant in that regard. Star Wars, like I said, I mean, a few of us still wear a Star Wars shirt, but you don't see a lot of new kids wearing any of that memorabilia. So they need to figure this out in this last one. I hope they have some young people that the younger generations can attach on to, or I'm worried about that franchise.
But Avengers.
They'll never lose money, but it won't. I want it to be like it was.
Avengers went for what? How many years? 12? Was it 12?
I believe so.
I mean, they hit a home run after home run after home run for 12 years.
They didn't make many mistakes. They had some movies that I look back on that were okay, but they played a part into the larger picture.
Yeah.
So you can't really complain about anything. Other thing, I get asked this a lot. We're not going to talk about Magic the Gathering as of right now. We do decide to do that. Brandon will probably talk to you about it, but we are going to concentrate on sports cards, comic books, and old Penthouse and Hustlers. So if you guys want to come and talk about old Penthouse and Hustlers next week, leave us some notes in the old MeWe chat. Until that time. What I want to do, I want to have like some horrible like outro, like just double guns or just something just cringy, just like just to piss everyone off.
We need to be a little more prepared, man. We didn't have an outline. This is test.